Hello, hello. This is Chris Park from Arkin Games. I'm here today to show you how to get into the modding project that we include with AIWar 2. And that way you can start including any sounds, music, um, textures, materials, shaders, uh, models, and I guess that's about it that you need to into the game. If you're doing any sort of code type stuff, this video doesn't cover that process. That's a separate process. So what you're going to need to start out with is some version of the Unity 3D program. And what version that is really, right now it's 5.5.0 P3. That's going to change over time, so you can go into project version. If you look in your install folder for your game under Steam, then you'll see an AIW2ModdingAndGUI folder. And you go in there and you go into project settings, and there's a project version.txt. Open that up, and it'll show you that the last editor version that was used was whatever it was. And so you can type that into Google. If it's got a P after the name, then that is a patch release, which is going to be under a different location on the Unity website. So just make sure you get the exact same release or later when you're making your mod. So I'm going to assume you've done that already. You can do that on Windows, Linux, or the Mac. It doesn't matter. At the time of this video, the Linux editor is experimental, so it's probably best that you do this on a Mac or Windows, but that's going to be changing in the next year. Nonetheless, the things you create are usable across all the platforms. So you're going to open up Unity. And at that point, you won't have a history of a bunch of other projects at that point, most likely. So what you're going to want to do is hit open, and then you're going to navigate to wherever your install folder is in Steam. So this is, by example, mine here. And then you click the AIW2 Modding and GUI folder, and then you hit select folder, and that will open up the actual project. The very first time you do it, it's going to be slow because it's going to have to build a bunch of temp stuff and a bunch of shadow copies of this, that, and the other to make things run faster, and so on and so forth. So it won't open this fast for you the very first time you open it. Subsequent times, it will open much faster. Now, inside here, you may have a different color of skin on your editor. You have a lighter color. That's because you're using Unity Free. If that's the case, that's fine. You're not part of our company or anything like that, so you can use Unity Free to do your business there. So there's a variety of little subfolders in here, and Arkin Code Prep has some code of ours, including some shader code that you can use. You can modify, do whatever you need to with it. Arkin DLLs has specific build copies of the game. So if this is version, as of today, like 0.107, I think it is, then that would be the version of files that are in here. And that would be the AIWar 2 version number. That's going to be usually somewhat important as you compile against, or as you build your bundles against. But the really good news is that if you make an early alpha build of something that is like a mesh or something like that, or especially like a sound effect, it's not really going to matter. It's going to be usable long term. If it's something that integrates with our code, to some extent, like a whole new ship with full capabilities of a whole bunch of different things, then it's possible that as we update the game, that you may need to update your mod as well at some point. But it's not going to be like in every version you're going to need to do it. It's just if we happen to change the public API for that for some reason, which during alpha is going to happen all the time. Post alpha, hopefully that won't happen much at all, if ever. Yeah, knock on wood. Under Arc and Reusable, we have a few materials which are used over and over again. And then we have our examples folder. Now, in the examples folder, I have some examples at the moment of special effects and skybox and ships. Now, there are a variety of other things that you can put in this project as well, but I'll have other examples of those, as time passes. So there will be other examples in the future, I'm sure. If you already know what you're doing, you can just go ahead and just create your own folder. Hi, Bob. So you've got, Bob's Mod or something here. And so you've got Bob's Mod. You create that, and you've got some. Goodness. I mean, you've got some prefabs and stuff here. So we got Bob's prefab, and then you can put that in your own asset bundle here, which you go new, and you call it whatever you want. Make sure it's something that is unique to you. Bob's bundle of little stuff. If you the less generic you are with your name on the asset bundle, the less likely you are to run into a conflict with somebody else's bundle. So what you can then do is come up under the Arkin menu here. The first thing you want to do always is hit Save All Assets. And if that takes more than 0.01 seconds, then there was something that wasn't fully, it was saved, kind of, sort of, but it wasn't committed to disks. Then you can do it again. You say 0 or 0.1 seconds, 0.01 seconds, it will, okay, there was nothing to do. At that point, then you can build whatever asset bundles you want. You can do all of them, or you can do just for specific OSs. One of the reasons it's really nice to be able to do just a specific OS is that it's quicker. And if you are testing on whichever of the 3 OSs, then in order to test, just build the one for your own OS. And then when you're ready to actually release your mod to other people, then build all 3. So one of the things you'll also notice when you're building these asset bundles is that it's slower the first time after you've added something new to it, or in general, and then it gets progressively faster. That's because it remembers what was already in there and it does a diff. So if you've put 400 megabytes worth of stuff into your asset bundle previously, and you add 1 megabyte worth of stuff, then it's going to be way quicker to add that 1 megabyte on to what was already there versus the first time when it was putting all 400 in. That's much slower. So this is actually different from if you're doing a full build of a Unity project, because in those, it always builds the entire, in this case, 401 megabytes every time. It's really slow. It's really annoying. So hooray, asset bundles. Now, I've come back into Windows Explorer in this particular case, and I did an asset bundle build just for the Windows side for now. So there are 3 asset bundles folders: Linux, OS X, and Windows, Win. And when you click into those, then you will see the specific you will see the specific bundles that you have created. Now, it's interesting. I guess it's because this is a blank prefab that nothing actually got put into it. So I'm gonna put this camera in there. I'm gonna go ahead and do Save All Assets and do Build Windows Asset Bundle. And let's see if I get that Bob's. There we go. Okay. So yeah, empty prefab. It's like, well, there's nothing to do with that. So now we've got Bob's bundle of little stuff. And this has a unnamed file, no file extension, and then it has a .manifest file. Now, when you look at the .manifest file, you can drag that into a text editor of your choice on your OS of choice. Then what you will see is it's got a bunch of header stuff up here that you don't care about. Then you've got a list of assets. Now, these things right here are the actual file names, so to speak, of what's in your asset bundle that you can reference. So in XML files that we have set up, you can say, all right, I want Bob's prefab to come in and be something that is used for the fighter, let's say, in place of the fighter graphics. Now, in order to do that, what you're going to want to do is you come down into GameData, and then there are, under configuration, there are a variety of folders here. Now, I'm not going to go into detail on all of this stuff right now because that's really beyond the scope of this particular video. But in general, what you're going to be doing, let's take one example of some of the, let's take chips. So I'm going to take this turret.xml, drag this in here. Actually, I'm going to do a simpler one. Let's pull shots. So we've got this bullet pointed red here. And right now it's pulling visuals. And this is the quote URL or file path that it's using inside the default asset bundle, which is always called AIWar2 goodie box. Now, there is a crud suddenly. Usually it is, let's see here, visuals. Generally speaking, whatever the thing, in some cases it's not just visuals equals, it's like explosion on death visuals equals or whatever. If you append underscore bundle at the back of that, then you can say what asset bundle you mean. So in this particular case, we would come in and we would say Bob's bundle of little stuff. We're still calling visuals that, and it's going to try and look inside Bob's bundle of little stuff. It's not going to find it. This is the only asset that's in here. You're going to need to put this in instead. You copy this in. And this needs to be all lowercase. Let's see if Control U works in here. It does. In Visual Studio and Notepad++, which is what I'm using here, both of which are free, you can use Control U to completely lowercase your file paths was in there. It will not find the asset in question if you use the capitalization that is actually inside the manifest file. It all goes lowercase once you actually are using it. So in this particular case, I have just swapped out the bullet pointed red, the little bullets that every ship in the game shoots at the moment. I've swapped that out with main cameras. That is going to break so bad. It's kind of hilarious, actually, how badly that's going to break. I don't even know what that would do. I mean, I guess we can find out. This is just kind of goofing around with it. But you'll see that it loads things in correctly, assuming that I've got everything typed in properly. Now you'll see console output. Okay, so it failed to load object that .prefab from bundle, Bob's bundle of little stuff. Now you're going to see these sort of errors pop up in your output.log. And so you'll have to do that separately. Now, what I failed to do here is hit Control S to save. So that was not looking for the correct thing. So when we come back through again, hooray, now it's happy. It actually found it. And as soon as a ship fires a shot, this is going to just go nuts. So let's see what happens. Instead of seeing the little, woo boy, there you go. So yeah, now what it's done, if we search for Bob's prefab here, there's a bunch of, that's the original clone that we had. And yeah, and it started throwing errors as soon as it made one of them. So it didn't make more than one even. So yeah, that's an example of us busting it with something we did. And you can see those errors popping up. If you want to attach a debugging process to Unity, there to the standalone, there are ways to do that. And so I'm just going to put this back the way it was. So now when I run it, it'll be fine. Now, just a really quick thing while we're here. In order to check out the examples here, we've got this example scene. Don't need to save this default thing. And Bob's mod, I don't need to keep that. You'll notice I accidentally put that inside the examples folder. So it was assets examples Bob's mod. I really should have put that, dragging that directly into assets. And it'll just be assets Bob's mod. It doesn't really matter. It's just a cleanliness thing. If I delete Bob's mod, then now when I click into some asset, I can look under asset labels. You'll still see Bob's bundle of little stuff. Now, what you can do is hit remove unused names, and then that'll disappear. Now, you will notice also, well, for one thing, now that I compile and so forth, or when I do the builds, this is going to stick around forever. It doesn't get removed by the build asset bundle process. That can overwrite things, but it won't just remove them outright, which is nice actually. So we can go ahead and kill that. You'll notice it's also creating this examples thing. Now this examples thing is what I've done to populate the example scene here. So you've got, this is our fighter, and you can see how that thing is set up. It's got all the actual code on it. It's got the editor code. This is exactly what we have, and you've seen in some of our videos. You've got the force field sphere there. It's exactly the way that it's set up in the game. If you wanted to, we'll take a look. If we open up examples.manifest, here you can see these are the things that are being included at the moment. And so if I was to take this URL and take the visuals underscore bundle as examples, then I could pull my own custom force field sphere here out and have that be used in the game. And the place that that's defined, if you go under GameData, configuration, and then it's external constants, there's vanilla constants here. There are force field sphere right here. So you change those two things and you're good to go. But you don't want to actually change them in there. What you're going to want to do, you're actually going to make a copy of that, and you're going to Bob's overrides, let's say, and you pull Bob's overrides. You don't want to override everything. You just want to override whatever it is you're doing. And so your force field sphere, bing, bing, bing. And so you change this and you can say example, is that what it was? Examples, it's pretty important. Examples, yeah. So it would yell at me if I tried that. Examples.manifest here, and we've got our force field sphere, which is a different path than this one. And then Control U to underline it. And at this point, actually, go ahead and show you. It will, where am I? Get a couple of different things open. It will successfully run this with a different force field graphic. Now, it's going to look the same because I haven't made any changes. I actually should have made some changes so that you could tell. I messed up something with it. Well, at any rate, I can. Yeah. Well, it's always fun when the things don't work, isn't it? At any rate, I messed something up in that, and I can fix that and move forward with it. But as it stands, it's not really something that I really wanted to override. So, but that is how you would do it. And more to the point, a lot of times I think the very early things that a lot of people are wanting to do is they're wanting to come in and say, here's this new ship that I made myself. And so what they can do is you can go in and let's see here. In here, you can go ahead and you can just hit Control D, duplicate the fighter if you want to, define all your stuff in there, get your LODs, all the various other things um, that you'll either have to intuit by knowing Unity, or you have to watch one of my videos on that subject, which I'll try and make a more concise one about that specific topic because it's spread across like 5 videos in the past at the moment. But anyway, you create your own thing, and then when you're done, you, um, you know, this is John's fighter, whatever, and you know, here's John's fighter, and you say this is going to be the asset bundle, you know, John's big fun, whatever. And then when you do a bit build, then you'll have an asset bundle of John's Big Fun, and John's Fighter will be in there. It will unfortunately be under Assets, Examples, Ship, Fighter, John's Fighter. It's not really a great location to store it, but it doesn't matter. One of the things that's important to note is that there will never be URL conflicts between asset bundles because it's looking within the asset bundle itself. So even if you take, for instance, something like this fighter H and you move it to John's Big Fun, and then you try and reference that directly from the John's Big Fun one, that'll be fine. That can coexist with the one from examples because one is inside examples, give me fighter underscore H at assets examples ship fighter. And the other one is inside John's Big Fun, give me assets examples ships fighter fighter H. So there's really quite a bit of foolproofing to some extent there. One of the things you're going to want to avoid doing is directly editing our XML files. If there's an XML file that comes with the game, you're going to want to avoid editing that yourself. Instead, you're going to want to make your own XML file that has a copy or that does some overrides or does some additions. That way, when we do a new build of the game, it doesn't accidentally overwrite your changes, which is what will happen if you edit our files directly. So we've gone out of our way to make this friendly for you so that you can make your own separate files and there's never a risk of us, just blowing out your stuff. But you have to actually use separate files for that to work. So Keith will have write-ups and things about some of those processes later, but we've been thinking about you and wanting to make sure that that we're not causing you to accidentally lose work. So as long as you aren't editing our files directly and you're making your own files that go side along or that will eventually override, then you're good to go and you shouldn't lose anything. Hope this was helpful, and thanks for watching.